Hello and welcome to another episode of the Irish Tennis Updates podcast. Today I'm really excited to be talking to Jenny Claffey. In 2015-2016, Jenny was the Irish number one and she reached a career high of 646 in the world. During her career, she won 3 pro titles, 2 doubles and 1 singles. Her career was sadly cut short by injury though, and we'll talk more about that later. So here we go. Hope you enjoy. Let's get into it.
Hello?
Hi Jenny, how's it going?
Hi, that's Adam, I presume, yes?
Yes, yeah, perfect.
How are you?
Great, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks very much for agreeing to talk to me as well. Very good.
No problem at all. No, I'm actually just, I'm off injured at the moment. I just had surgery, so no time like now.
Okay.
Normally I'd be working, but I'm free now.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think we'll come on to, I guess, your injury struggles a bit later on as well. I know that's been something that's had an impact on you. Yeah. But first, I guess I just want to go back to the start. So how did you get into tennis, and what kind of age were you at that point?
So I grew up in a family. I got 4 older brothers, and they were all playing tennis. And my mum was Breda, was a tennis coach, and I guess I was being brought to all the tournaments around and seeing my brothers play. And then my first memory of a tennis court was being down in Wicklow. We used to go on holiday down to Wicklow, and I was 4 years old, and I remember being in the tennis court and just crying because I just wanted to play. Nobody was play tennis with me, and I think that was the start of the competitor in me. From that day on, I think I kind of played, messed around. But then from 7 onwards, I started playing. I got lessons with my mum, and then I was in the Leinster squad at under 9, and then it kind of went from there.
Yeah, I guess having it in the family, was kind of what started it for you, and then I guess you took it on. So you say
my mum was a big influence in that because she obviously coached, so I would have been around tennis courts a lot, and then obviously tennis would have been spoken at home and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. So at what point did you start to kind of really take it seriously? Realize this is something you're quite good at, and you might go further with it.
I'd say so when I was playing, as I said, the under 9s. My first competition was, I remember playing under 10, I think, in Westwood, and I was so competitive. I just remember being so competitive, and obviously I loved winning. So kind of the winning started at a young age, and then through my junior age, the under 10s, under 12s, under 14s, I won a lot of tournaments. And I had a real passion for tennis. I just loved tennis. Everything was tennis for me. I always said I wanted to be a tennis player. And I remember, I think I was about, again, that 10 years old, I wrote this on an A4 page. I drew this picture that said, Wimbledon is my dream. I'll play it soon and win it. And so 9 years old, that's when I kind of started that dream for me. And then I got to under 14, was it 15? Then I went to an academy in Spain for transition year. 4th year I took the year off school.
Very good.
And I was training pretty much full time at that stage. And then that was kind of at that age. Then I kind of decided I'd love to take this to the next level.
Yeah. So were you playing kind of ITF events around the place at that point as well? Were you competing?
Yeah. So after the transition year, I did basically a training year, and then I went. I played this professional league in Netherlands. I played for a club. That was the first, that was probably I was playing against clubs, the top clubs in Holland and Germany. And then in 5th year, I started to travel a little bit. But then 5th year, so I would have been 16 then. Yeah. My injury started.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about that. I guess you had all these plans at this point, and then what happened? I guess exactly.
Yeah. So I said the dream was to go and play, and went back. I think, as I said, 5th year in school, I started a new school, and I was training full time. And then the plan was to play some ITF, the holidays, the New Year's, and then I go for Christmas, and then midterm February, those kind of times. Yeah. And then, I think I got a shoulder injury. That's what started off with a shoulder injury at 16. And then I tore my rotator cuff, so then I was out of tennis for 5 months.
Okay. Yeah, that's not good.
No. And then that kind of, I got that very impressionable age, 16, 17, then okay, I'm off training. Like that was all I knew, and that was all I was doing. The goal was always to play tennis, and then I kind of got to see that other side of life. I was socializing more with my friends. Started to go out more, and then that kind of side then distracted me a little bit, I would say, if I look back or in hindsight.
Yeah.
And then got back to training in sixth year. I was only 17. I was quite young. 17, maybe September, and then the decision. Sorry, before I went back to school that September was, will I finish school or not? Like I didn't want to finish. I wanted to be homeschooled and go and play.
Yeah.
Go and play on the tour. My parents were like, no, you've just you started a new school last year. We need to finish your, get your leaving cert, and then it's only one more year. What's that gonna do?
Yeah. So was college in the States? Was that ever an option for you, or at that point?
Well, so then I go back to the start of school then in sixth year and was training full time again. Or before school. I did a lot of before school training in those early days, 15, 16. And then I was sick then from Halloween of my leaving cert to February. I got glandular fever.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Sorry. So another setback.
Another setback, yeah. And then the kind of from there, between the shoulder injury, having been out for 5 months, and then having glandular fever for nearly 5 months, I think it was around the end of February, March, and then at that stage I kind of was like, well, I may as well now focus on my leaving cert.
Yeah.
So and study and do that. And then that, as I said, that kind of time, that whole social scene and maybe sidetracked me a little bit, and then I decided, maybe this tennis isn't for me. This is all I think at the time. I look back at it.
Yeah.
And then I decided to go to college in Ireland. I was actually such a home bird that I decided that no, I'll stay and do college here. At that stage, I was kind of a little bit put off by tennis. Obviously, with the setbacks I'd faced at the time, and then I felt like I'd lost time, and I've already been making something of myself by that stage. So I went to college in UCD.
Okay. So you went to college UCD, and then I guess about 2015, 2016 was when you started to kind of to give it a real go. So I guess what happened in between that period?
So I went to college, and then I kept up my level, like my national level. I played all the tournaments in Ireland and still had a lot of success. And then I played Federation Cup. I made my debut in 2009 in Fed Cup. I was in college at that time, and so I was maintaining a level, but I kind of was like, well, I'm not going anywhere with that. It's good in the summer to play and earn some money, but I was at that stage. I was in college, so I was under UCD. There was no tennis. There was no not much potential. I applied for a scholarship. They claimed they didn't have enough facilities. They didn't have adequate facilities for a tennis scholarship, which seemed anyhow. Strange. So finished college, and then during college I did my level 1 coaching course. With a view to just having that, because obviously I'd the playing, so I maybe do that while in college. Didn't really have time with that, and then finished college and decided. Then I was thinking, maybe I would go to the States to college, do college tennis and do a master's.
Okay.
So that was the plan. I went and spoke to a lot of colleges, and then went and viewed a college in the University of Memphis. I remember it was in the February, just before my finals in UCD, and I kind of decided, right, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that. And long story short, I didn't end up doing that. That was 2012.
Okay.
And then finished college, whatnot. Then coach. So I decided to coach for, I was maybe about a year and a half into coaching full time. And then I felt, I was just like, I'm still playing tennis, still playing tournaments in the summer here, winning the tournaments, playing Fed Cup. And then I was kind of like, I remember, to be honest, this is how I decided to take that step on the tour. I remember 2015, I politically incorrectly didn't get selected for Fed Cup. I may be incriminating myself for that, but didn't get selected for Fed Cup, and I was raging. There was so basically there was no reason why I shouldn't have been picked. I had beaten, 2 of the 4 people who were picked in the team.
Yeah.
They picked somebody who was far junior than I was, and that's nothing to do with her, but the decision was just like, you cannot be serious. Anyway, I remember saying it to I was working the Leinster squads at the time with John McGann. And Stephen Nugent. And I remember saying it to, it's kind of a bit of a long-winded version of it, but I remember saying to John, I can't believe everything I picked, and he was like, well, go and prove them wrong.
Yeah.
And at that stage I was kind of, I maybe had thought about, I just felt there was something missing in my life. Remember in that 2015, that January, going into the new year, I was like, I want to do something different this year. Didn't know what it was. It felt, I guess, like maybe I was I passed it with the tennis. You know, I was then at that stage 24, and then decided to. Spoke with John, and he was like, "Go, you know, why don't you go and give the tour a go?" And I was like, he's like, "Are you joking me? I'm 24, and like, there's no way." You know, I set up my life here. I was working full time. I was, you know, renting a nice apartment, driving a nice car. Everything was good. You know, that living the good life. So
absolutely, yeah.
However, I did feel like it was just like, you know, I'm a natural competitor. I love.
Yeah, you wanted that feeling, didn't you?
Yeah, that's something, and let me tell you, that's something that you can't replicate in your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Anyway, so John was like, look, I came back to following me to coach, and he was like, look, let's just have a hit and see where you're at, and you know, consider, go away and think about this. Like, obviously, that would be a life-changing decision for me to go and change my career and, you know, go back in the tour when I felt. Anyway, so thought about it for the week, and I was like, no, I don't think that's for me. We had a hit, and then I don't know what it was in my head. We had a great chat, and he really like kind of inspired me. Then I was like, you know, maybe I could do this. So then 8 weeks later, 8 weeks of training, I then went and played my first professional tournament.
Okay, it was a quick turnaround.
Very quick.
Having not really thought about it, then I might do this. I'm going to do this, you know, and then I'm doing it. Yeah.
Before I knew it, then I was in Tunisia playing a tournament. It was the most foreign thing. It was amazingly, like, just so different to what I could have imagined it would have been like.
Yeah.
Turning up in the middle of, like, oh my God, Tunisia, like, what a place to decide to pick as my first, my maiden tournament. Yeah, glamorous, to say the least.
So I guess you spent from that point, I guess, close to two full seasons on the tour. So how did those 2 years kind of compare to your expectations beforehand?
So, as in before I went on the tour, like.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, going on the tour at that stage, I didn't really have any expectations per se. Like, it was kind of a, let's go see how I get on and how I fare.
Okay.
And then in my first tournament, I got to the quarterfinals.
Okay.
And then I was a bit like, okay, so, you know, I arrived, I can't even, I'm trying to set the scene for you. I arrived at this international tournament. You know, you're there thinking, I'm a nobody, I have no ranking. You know, in Ireland, you think you're a big fish in a small pond. And you go away, you see like these 14 practice course, and they're full of all these girls and guys training, and you're like, Jesus, they're all so good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you go out and play the match, and it takes you like a few games, you're like, actually, they're not really that good. Everybody can hit a forehand and a backhand, and everyone's physically fit, but it's really mental. That's one thing I learned very quickly, how mental the game is.
Yeah.
So then I guess I'd say those first two tournaments. First tournament I got to the quarters, and then in the second one I got to the final of the doubles.
Okay.
Or something ridiculous, and I was like, actually I'm pretty good. In comparison, you know, like the nerves I had, and this that's what you expect, the fear of the unknown. It was so mad. I can't even explain. Like. Crazy. I went over there for 2 weeks, and I was like, Jesus, I could actually do this.
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
You know, I don't know whether that's a very Irish mentality that we have. You know, it's nearly ingrained in us that we're not good enough.
Oh yeah, you know? I think I know what you mean, and then you go and you realize actually I might be, you know, I might have a chance.
Exactly. So then I go out there and I'm like, okay, maybe I could actually, you know, maybe I could make something of this. And then how it works in the tour, the female tour, was that you need to have results in 3 international tournaments. So you need to qualify and then get results. So get results meaning you need to win a round. So oftentimes it takes people, you know, a long time for that to happen.
To even get that.
Around like 10 tournaments. So then after my first 2 tournaments, I was like, geez, this is class. I want to go. I came back and then went back again a week later.
Okay.
Back to the same place, because actually a girl I knew who I'd met at Fed Cup, she was like 280 in the world, and she agreed to play doubles with me. So I was like, that's a good match.
Yeah.
So I went back, and then I ended up again, got to the quarters and singles, finals of the doubles again.
Okay.
Sorry, that's not true. I won the doubles title.
Won the doubles. Happy days.
Yeah. I got some semis of the singles, and I won the doubles. So then I was like, okay, firstly, then I have an international ranking.
Yeah.
You know, I had 3 results.
Yeah.
I had one of the best tennis match, most memorable tennis match in that tournament, actually. I came back from like a like a set and 5-2 down.
Okay.
And won, and I have it on video, a
Oh, really?
snippet of it of me winning a match point, which obviously I'll keep that one. That's precious.
Yeah, no, you'll keep that one. You might even send it over to me. I could post it on the Twitter.
Well,
If you want.
yeah. And
Yeah.
like, it still gives me goosebumps. I remember playing every point of that match, and that was
Yeah.
to get my ranking, and that was to get me into the semi-final of a tournament of my, like, this is 3 weeks, 3 tournaments in.
Yeah.
After
Yeah.
3 weeks of training, like, and I'm in semi-final of a international tournament going.
Yeah. It must have been probably. I guess at that point you were exceeding your expectations probably. That you had previously, and then I guess going further into the year, you won a title, singles, didn't you, as well?
Yeah. So then again, of course, I had a bit of an injury then after
Okay.
that third. I had actually like I ended up with ulcerated blisters in my feet, obviously just not used to the heat and everything, and then I was off. So kind of had a bit of a 2 weeks on. We kind of took it. Then I'd go 2 weeks on, a minimum of 2 weeks off at home.
Okay. Yeah.
So then I went back to play in June to Egypt, and then again had another won a doubles title again there, and had another semi-final result. So like things were going well. My ranking started to then kind of improve quite quickly, and then again off with a bit of an injury.
Okay.
So it's kind of on off, and then I went back in October of 2015, and that's when I won the first title.
Okay. Super. And so I guess that must have been a highlight of the year, I presume.
Yeah, like, so that was my, after my 9th tournament on tour, I had won 2 doubles titles and a singles title.
Yeah.
After 9 tournaments, like that's.
Yeah, that's really good.
Like,
yeah.
Having not played for a number, played at a really high level for a long time, other than like cup, or competed internationally. So that was amazing. So I came back off after that trip. I was like, everything seemed like, you hear people say that like everything just seemed to work that week.
Yeah.
Say just mentally, it was more mental than anything.
Okay. Yeah. It just clicked.
Yeah, like I just really focused on my goals and not worried about the results. And I beat some really like high ranked players that week.
Okay.
There seemed to be very strong players there that week.
Yeah.
But like at the back of my head, I was like, I know I'm going to win the tournament. But I never thought as I playing like, oh, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Just that air of confidence that I knew I was going to win.
Yeah, kind of a self assurance, I guess. Kind of.
Yeah, and that came through play, and that came through obviously experience of seeing these girls and knowing that actually, I'm better than them in a lot of regards.
Yeah.
So then after I won that tournament, then my ranking went up to 640 or something. That was 646 was my highest ranking.
Okay.
So we went up quite high then, and then after I won the tournament, the most bizarre thing happened. I just like lost all confidence.
Really?
Yeah, I came back home from that and just like was like, oh my god, like it was then when I felt the pressure of, oh my god, I can actually do this.
Yeah.
Like so then you kind of start setting goals. So I had a good 4-week training back before I won that tournament, set good goals for myself, not just in terms of winning, just for longer term, Then it was kind of like, I can do this, the Wimbledon dream was back on.
Yeah.
If I got to 640 in 9 tournaments, where will I be in another 9 tournaments?
Yeah.
And I was only picking up the win. And then I think there was that pressure of like, and then people started people started noticing then that you were doing well, and like people were showing more interest, I guess. And that's where the pressure kind of came from.
So I guess it was mental challenges, I guess, from that.
Yeah, and then that's when I went to go to get a sports psychologist. That wasn't like, I better go and get a sports psychologist. It was just a case of like, okay, I want to now surround myself with a team.
Okay.
And I was very lucky to have people around me who were so willing to help me at the time. My God.
Okay.
I would be forever grateful to them.
Who were they? Was it a coach and a psychologist? Was that?
Yeah, so I had, like, there was John McGahan, who was really instrumental, like really in the beginning was fantastic.
Was he traveling with you, or was he?
No, he wasn't. He never traveled. He wasn't able to, like, because of financially very expensive. But and then Maurice and Isis, they work out of David Lloyd, like because they used to coach me from when I was 12. They were amazing as well. They got on board, and really a lot of people gave me a lot of their time and looked for nothing in return. So I'm forever grateful to those people. But
Yeah.
at the time, I had actually, at the time, my boyfriend then was a personal trainer, so he traveled a little bit with me. But it
Okay.
was so expensive, like you couldn't afford to
Yeah. Yeah.
have that. That stage I was saying that I felt it was very important then to surround myself then with like a good program, sports psychologist, because I realized how mental the game was. As I said to you previously, like everybody can hit a really good forehand and looks fit and is fit and can serve, but it's actually when you step onto the match court who's tougher mentally, who wants it badly enough.
Yeah. So I'm interested then. So I guess that was around end of 2015, start of 2016. You're maybe having some mental challenges. And then the injuries kicked in later in that year, was it? As well?
2016.
Yeah.
So after I went to Egypt, I then went to Tunisia 2 weeks later and had not a very successful tournament. First time I lost in the first round, which was a real like kick in the teeth. But, that trip wasn't great. The timing of it wasn't great. I was a little bit injured at the time, but we decided to go anyway. And then I took a pre-season then. So I finished my season. Ranking was all-time high, singles and doubles, I both in 600. To then set goals for the new year. And did a training block then, and then went off in 2016 to play my first tournament in the Caribbean.
Okay.
Which sounds very glamorous.
Yeah.
Not. I went to a place called Guadeloupe, which most people probably don't know where it is. And then that's when my troubles really began.
Okay.
In terms of injury, I was playing in the quarterfinal, and I ended up with this. I was an agony basically, and my stomach had really bad problems with my stomach, and had a doctor come out on the court, and then I think I'm not sure if I finished the match just out of stubbornness, but it was a lot of pain, and then I had to retire. Like I was in the semi-finals of the doubles, which I was due to play that evening, but I had to pull out, and then I ended up in hospital that evening.
Oh, okay.
So this was some experience. I was on my own. I go over in the Caribbean, the French-speaking hospital, nobody speaking English.
You can't even communicate.
Couldn't communicate. That was quite scary at that time.
Yeah.
Knowing what was going on, I was in a lot of pain. I was on my own. I remember my phone wasn't working. Oh my God, that was some experience. Then I had to pull out that tournament and then pull out the following one, which was due to be in a different island. And I flew home the next day, and then ended up at the end of all that, like 5 months later, so I was off the tour for 5 months.
Okay.
I ended up having my gallbladder removed.
Okay. So it got complicated.
Yeah, it was hell at that stage.
Yeah.
Then had that removed, then I remember played a tournament in Poland. That was kind of again another quarterfinal. Whatever that was more of a tester just to see how my fitness was.
Yeah.
And then again, I think then I had surgery then after, I think it was. And then I went back and played in October of 2016 in Egypt, and again it's funny, I went over there. That's where I'd won the title the year before.
Yeah.
And went over again. Had a really good play. Like having not played many tournaments that whole year, let alone that be in my whole career. I again got to the semi-final. Got quarterfinal first week, semi-final second week, final of doubles again.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm back. But I had a real problem with my elbow.
Okay.
But between, I'd say, January of that year all the way through the year, I had this problem with my arm. But as an athlete, you get so used to pains that you kind of, well, as well, you get kind of a bit stubborn. You don't want to admit them. And then it got so bad then that I actually, I couldn't, like, by that after that October, that's where I was needed. I couldn't hold the racket. I couldn't serve. I came back from that trip. Didn't serve for 2 weeks, and I was going to Crete, and this is the beginning of the end.
Okay. So the injuries, I guess, got the better of you.
That was it. I couldn't serve for 2 weeks prior to going to a tournament in Crete, in Greece. I was honestly, my elbow was so sore. I couldn't lift up a cup. I couldn't use my arm to flush the toilet. It was so bad. I was having treatment on it all the time. I went to a tournament having not practiced my serve for over 2 weeks. It was eating anti-inflammatories like they're going out of fashion, and then played that tournament, and that was the end of my career. I came back, I had an MRI in my elbow, and then that was the end. I had 2 surgeries. 2 surgeries later, I can't play tennis again. So I had a clear ending elbow injury.
It's a sad story.
It's a pretty sad story, having had shot success very quickly.
Yeah.
All of the dreams becoming possible again.
Yeah. And then it's taken out of your hands.
very quickly just taken out of my hands.
Yeah,
Taken away
that's
from me. And,
very unfortunate.
yeah.
Um,
Unfortunately, yeah.
I guess just a couple of questions looking back on your career as a whole. Um, would the best moment, would that be your singles title, or would you have something else to point out for a highlight?
I would say, yeah, I'd say winning that week would particularly stand out to
Yeah.
me as just like off course, on course, everything just was just really right. I felt like I
Okay.
was a real professional that week. That and that winning that match that I was explaining
Yeah.
previously.
Yeah.
That match then was a real sign for me that, you know, I had that mental toughness.
Yeah.
I wanted this. You know, I could fight for this. I could do what it takes.
Yeah.
And that was a real, like, that's, I mean, that I would never forget that. Obviously, I'll never forget the first match I won and everything about it, but it was that match that stands out, the one that got me my ranking, and then that I came back from a set and 5-2, and then obviously winning the title. That was
Yeah.
amazing. You can't discount that one.
Yeah. In terms of a worst moment, would you have one that you'd be able to point at?
Probably the worst moment was that having to retire in
Yeah.
the Caribbean and ending up in hospital on my own.
Yeah.
More from the point of view of like how lonely the tour is. You know,
Yeah.
that when
Yeah.
you're on your own,
Yeah.
you're doing
You really
everything
are on your
alone.
own. Yeah.
You really are alone. Like
Yeah.
nobody. I was so far away from home. You know,
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah. There is.
with me.
Yeah. You felt, I guess, helpless probably.
Very happy. That's exactly how I felt, and I just wanted to get home. I wanted to
Yeah.
get out. As I said earlier as well, I'm quite a home bird, so
Yeah.
that was challenging.
It wasn't so nice.
No.
No.
Definitely not.
I guess a couple of questions. In your time on the tour, did you experience any kind of issues with drugs or gambling? How did they? I mean, like, did you experience people using them around you? Is it a real problem?
I heard from others that the like the gambling and like people that it was kind of an issue at that time, and there was signs at the tournament about like how you weren't allowed to, like, coaches weren't allowed to update anybody, like you weren't allowed to on your phone updating the score because that's real time ahead of any of those apps or anything.
Yeah.
And I received so much abuse on like social media,
Really?
like direct message people being like like saying like like die you useless so and so, you lost that match, you're effing F, you're this, like obviously because they're betting.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
indirectly
awful.
you were on the receiving end of it.
Yeah.
Like no, you wouldn't see that. You wouldn't necessarily see anybody on at the event or drugs. And I never saw drugs. That doesn't mean that they weren't being taken, but
yeah,
you
didn't have any first hand experience.
No, nothing like that. No.
Yeah, no, it's interesting you were saying there about the updating the score, because I saw just yesterday or the day before, the ITF and kind of anti-corruption efforts have from next year I think they're going to get rid of live scores for the 15K events, and I think that's all from an anti-corruption point of view. But I think from like a point of view of someone like me, who tries to keep up to date with it, it I guess adds an extra challenge, so I won't be able to see scores till the end of the day. But I can obviously see where they're coming from, but I think from my point of view it is a shame, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. And why is that? Because of there's obviously an increase in corruption?
Yeah, no, I think it would just be in terms of the bettors would see the way the match is going and change bets. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know all the details, but I was surprised. I was really surprised when I saw that news.
Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
For you.
What?
And you've been great at keeping like the updates, and I mean, I have to say, like, looking back, or at the time, it was really great to see the support and like the likes of yourself and people updating and keeping the Irish people aware, because there isn't like that's not happening.
Yeah, there's nothing, is there? Yeah,
no, and it's like there aren't that many players playing, but when they are, it should really it should be really encouraged and promoted, and for the up and coming generations, because there's so many people in Ireland playing tennis, juniors, adults.
Absolutely, just having having those role models to see the success people are having would kind of really inspire people, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I really would, and I mean that was one of the things that I always strive for, was like that I really wanted to inspire other, women in sport, and then
Yeah,
also
absolutely.
kids, that it is possible. And like my story isn't exactly the typical progression through through, you don't have to go to the college, or you don't have
Yeah,
to go on the tour straight away.
yeah,
There are other ways of it happening. Like I went on tour at 24.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's old in tennis terms.
Yeah, yeah,
And like, and it's funny, like, as well, you only start to get the noticed, or people, like, begin to take notice of you once you've started to win, which I guess that's normal. But at the same time, when you're a nobody, per se, that's when you need the support, and that's when
yeah,
you need people backing you, and that encouragement, because that really did push me on, that people actually cared and people were
yeah,
following, and all the messages of support,
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
that I received. So thank you also to you for that.
Well, it wasn't me at the time, but it's it's me now. I'm interested
So,
as well. What's your kind of relationship with tennis now? Obviously, you're not playing, but are you still doing the coaching, or are you kind of you've
so I'm actually
left that?
coaching full time at the moment.
Oh right.
Yeah. So aside from the injuries I have now,
Yeah.
I have been coaching full time. But it's interesting. I have moved a little bit away from performance coaching, despite that being possibly my forte, because I've had the experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did a little bit, and I travelled a little bit over the last 2 years with some juniors to tournaments
Okay.
as a traveling coach, and I really enjoyed that role. But at the moment, I'm just working for myself and doing my own thing. I'm really enjoying, like, coaching, juniors who are just joining the game, or adults actually who are joining the game.
Yeah. Okay.
You really want to get as many people playing tennis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
and I really enjoy that, because you see a big difference with people who have just taken up the game, like, much quicker
Yeah. You
than
can
you
really
would.
see, I guess, the difference you're making. Actually.
Yeah, and I really enjoy that aspect
Yeah.
of
What
the coaching.
What club are you coaching in at the moment?
I'm doing my own thing, so I'm just using the course at Herbert Park,
Okay.
those course, and then I'm also in a place in Blackrock called Carrick Tennis Club.
Okay.
It's just, so I'm there, and I coach, like, the league teams and juniors there, and then I do a lot of private work there as well.
Okay. Interesting.
It's really good.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Just like a couple more questions, I guess. What's your if you would you any advice for a junior who's doing quite well? How to maybe progress, or what advice would you have for them?
I would definitely say play the game for enjoyment first.
Okay.
Play it because you love it, not because you've been doing that for as many years.
Yeah.
Play as many matches as possible.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I see in Ireland, that they're probably not getting exposed to enough different players. So
Okay.
try to get abroad. I know it's obviously very expensive. Try to get abroad and play matches. But also, just in general, when I grew up, I wasn't being coached 6 days a week. I
Yeah.
was being coached
Okay.
maybe 3, but I was playing them.
You were playing. Yeah.
Playing matches, or playing against other people. I just wanted to play as much tennis as I could.
Yeah.
And again, I think the kids nowadays are getting coached quite a lot. But
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would really, the advice would be, is stick with it. Like, if you really have a passion for it, you'll always find a way.
Yeah. Okay. That's some good advice. Thank you.
No problem.
Finally, what's your favorite thing about tennis?
My favorite thing about tennis. It's a bit broad, I guess. It's exposed me to so many life experiences. I've met so many people through tennis. I've traveled the world with it. There's been a lot of positives to me. It's like, not only is it exercise, it's given me a release of that competitor in me.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just the amazing people I've met through it, and seeing the world.
Yeah. I guess it set you up now. I guess if you're working in coaching, it set you up for probably your career, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Like, yes, like, I'll always have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I
Totally.
played on the tour.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, super. I think we'll leave it there. Thanks very much again for
You're very welcome.
for agreeing to talk.
No problem.
I think as you said, I think a lot of girls especially, but all people could look up to kind of the path. Obviously, it's not exactly what you'd want, and that the injuries got the better of you, but they'd look up, and I think they get some inspiration there for sure.
That would be amazing if that was the case. I could
Yeah.
inspire just one person, not even
Oh,
tennis, just
yeah.
anywhere.
I know. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. All right. I wish you all the best for any coaching, whatever you're doing.
Yeah, thanks very much, Adam.
All right. Thanks. Thanks so much.
No,
See you later.
talk to you
Bye.
again. Cheers.
Bye.
Right, there we are. An interesting story there from Jenny. Sad, I guess, in many ways, in terms of she wasn't able to do what she might have otherwise been able to do due to injuries. But I think she has a really good story, inspirational story. So I hope you guys took something away from that. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.